Welcome back, y'all, for another episode of You Make It Happen. Today we have Anna back for part 2. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Anna, thank you so much for joining us on the You Make It Happen podcast. Coming back for part 2. I know it's been a minute, but I'm excited to have you back on. The listeners, they had some positive feedback for the BPD episode and the expert on BPD. And they had a few questions and some clarification, I guess. So in the first part, you mentioned a little bit about yourself and your background and a lot of the diagnoses. Diagnoses? Is that the plural of diagnosis? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Diagnosis. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I'm not sure if I say that right. Anyway, how did you first find out that you have BPD? And did you want to address it at first? I know it's a two-part question, but here we are.
So I didn't find out until after my accident.
Really? Okay. I know you mentioned the
Yeah.
accident in the first part of the episode.
I knew I knew I had depression and anxiety, especially the anxiety was super high. But yeah, I didn't realize I had BPD until I got actually diagnosed after my accident because, after my accident, I was in the hospital and because of the nature of the accident, I did actually get sent to the psych, and that was when I was diagnosed through many interviewing processes.
I gotcha. So you had to answer a bunch of questions because you were in the psych ward. And so the result of that was they're like, oh, we have diagnosed you with BPD. Is that right?
Yeah. It wasn't just deep. As things went along, after I left the psych ward, I had like a little bit of physical recovery through the week before I went to the entrance new program that I did called Hope in Edmond, Washington, actually. Really great program.
So you said that you ended up getting diagnosed in the hospital. You ended up getting a bunch of questions. And then what happened after that?
After that, I took some time after the hospital. I ended up going home to spend some time with my parents, healed up, and then I went to a intensive care place called Hope in Edmonds, Washington. Very wonderful place. All the staff are amazing. That is when I got to dive deeper into all my diagnoses and get treatment for them. So I had about, I want to say, a month and a half to 2 months in between the being diagnosed and starting my therapy for it.
I gotcha. Okay. Did you ever have any inkling before that that you may have BPD or undiagnosed borderline personality disorder? Anything at all?
Not for BPD, no. I think if anything, I thought maybe I was mildly bipolar, but never had such extreme hot and colds, hence why I say mild. And I know you can have bipolar behaviors with BPD, but just not to the same extremities.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that as well. I've seen that in my mother, who's gotten worse and worse over the years. Can you tell our listeners what some common symptoms of BPD look like in general, like maybe to be on the lookout? I know we kind of went over this in part 1, just to reiterate that a little bit.
Yeah, good. So BPD is definitely a combination of multiple other symptoms or diagnoses,
Hmm.
collective. That's how I kind of look at it. Like you usually always have depression or usually always have anxiety because they make up BPD.
Oh,
Um,
can you say more about that? Because I'm not sure I quite understand.
so you can have, I'm not saying it's necessarily what diagnoses you to have BPD, like you have all those things, right? But it is very common to have those things and have BPD. And they can also be signs of BPD.
Oh, okay. I think I'm following along. So sort of like the comorbidity conditions, like you
Hmm.
often have the comorbidity condition of depression if you have BPD, or you often have the comorbidity condition of anxiety if you have BPD or whatever.
So, one of the biggest symptoms for BPD that I experienced were you have a super strong fear of abandonment. And
Mhm.
this is including going to extreme measures so that you're not separated or rejected, even if like these fears are made up.
What do you mean if they're made up?
So with BPD, you can, with like, let's say you have insecurities or fears, you can actually create scenarios in your brain. And then it triggers this part of you where it's like, it's do or die, this fear of abandonment, or this is going to happen. And so you go through these extreme measures to prevent it from happening.
Oh, interesting. So, like, kind of generating the narrative yourself, like, kind of
Correct.
making the story in your head and be like, well,
Correct.
this is what happened because I feel this person's going to leave me, or, my mom doesn't love me, or whatever.
Correct.
Does that sound accurate?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yep. You can also have one of the other things is you can look at the relationships you have in your life, whether it be friends, family, or even romantic relationships. If you have a pattern of having unstable friendships, and this is the biggest one, friendships or relationships with your family members, you can believe someone is perfect one moment, right? And then suddenly believing the person doesn't care enough. It's cruel, or you start to think of those extreme measures. So with bipolar, it's so black and white and it's hot and cold. BPD is like a combination of, okay, it's black and white, but these are all these other factors adding to that black and white where you're living in this gray field.
Okay. So if you have this disorder, diagnosed or not, you can often believe and think in extremes. Like this person
Mhm.
is the best person ever, or they're out to get me, they hate me, and it can go back and forth, is what you're saying.
Yep. Yep. You can also have quick changes in how you see yourself. Like one day you be so confident, the next day you can be like, oh, I absolutely hate the way I look, right?
Shame, feeling
Yep.
shame. I
Yep.
gotcha.
Or let's say you can gaslight yourself. This is a big one. You'll
Yeah.
gaslight yourself, especially if you're in a toxic relationship and you know the other person's gaslighting you. You will
Hmm.
flip it around and gaslight yourself into thinking that you're the bad guy because you
Interesting.
don't. And it plays off of that abandonment and separation or rejection. So you'll
Okay.
think you're the bad guy because you don't want to do anything to lose what you have,
Okay, so
even
you can
though
even
you're
turn
the
it around
victim.
on yourself and say like, "Hey, like I'm causing all these problems and this is all my fault and they're going to leave me if I don't get my shit together or whatever." Is that
Mhm.
what I'm hearing? Okay. Okay. 'Cause
You can also hear stress related paranoia. Like you can have lots of contact a bit. That comes with isolation. Some people with BPD can isolate themselves or they'll do things that will isolate themselves. And
like
some,
socially isolated, or what
yeah,
do you mean?
socially isolation.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I think this is where the depression comes in play with suicidal ideation. You can, in your mind, you'll threat yourself with suicide or self-injury. Again, that is in response to your fear, separation, anxiety, or rejection. Uh,
Interesting. Okay, so the self-harm, either, planning or the ideation of self-harm is in
it's more the
relation.
ideation.
More
Yeah.
the ideation is in relation to the super strong fear of abandonment, or, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna solve all my problems by,
Yep.
killing myself. Okay.
Yep. He can also have wide mood swings that last for a few hours, a few days, or even longer. They can include like being can be happy one moment, irritable the next second, anxious another second, or feeling shame another second.
Oh my god, that sounds like a fucking roller coaster.
It is definitely a roller coaster.
I mean, it
I
also
think the
kinda
big
sounds like, us women on our period, but
yep,
maybe
suddenly.
maybe that's just because. Yeah, that
Um,
sucks. Anyway, so you have
there's
like you can shift in a rapid second.
yeah, the same thing with inappropriate or strong anger. You can lose your temper often from that irritability, or you could be petty, sarcastic, or bitter. I think that one was a big one for me, internally at least. I don't think I
Okay,
could
so
ever be so outright mean to somebody. I've never been able to be that way, but
well, that's a good thing.
internally I can be like so angry one second and I'm like, don't talk to me.
Right. I mean,
I
it sounds like you're describing what's in everybody's head, but maybe that's
yeah,
just because of my history, because my mom had this, and I like
right.
almost got diagnosed with it when I first started therapy because I also have that super strong fear of abandonment, but I have it from like childhood core wounds, from my
Yeah.
original core wounds from childhood, which were like, I was emotionally abandoned and I was abused by both of my parents emotionally.
I was too.
So,
I was
yeah,
too. But
exactly.
I didn't get the symptomatics of BPD probably until the abusive relationship I was in.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So that's when you started
Yeah.
like noticing if you when hindsight, of course, because you weren't diagnosed or aware of it then, but if you look back, you're like, "Oh, I did have these symptoms." And
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were it was that the catalyst you think that brought them to the surface?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the catalyst. It was the
Okay.
not only that, during that relationship, because everything was so intense and heightened, not only was it the catalyst, but it was like the fourth bringer of doom. How can I put
Oh,
it?
say more about that.
So it's like, so it was like my own personal apocalypse. I lived with these symptoms so mildly for so long, but having such an intense situation in my life for a couple years, 2 to 3 years, and then it's increasing these symptoms because
Mm.
I never felt safe, right?
Right.
So,
How
I'm
could you were in an
you
abusive relationship?
yeah, so it was a building sensation, and then my impulsivity, my back and forth, my hot and cold were getting more and more intense as time went on. I will say, though, the biggest symptom of BPD that I think most people with BPD experience the most of is the ongoing feeling of emptiness and disassociation.
Say more about that.
So, when you are constantly trying to prevent something to happen and it's almost like repetitive. So, it's repetitive and it becomes like your normal everyday action or thought or behavior. And when that happens, you're an autopilot and you don't you're not in tune, like fully whole body in tune with reality. You're just going day by day on autopilot.
Interesting. Okay. And so the biggest symptom that you're aware of or have noticed is the ongoing feeling of emptiness and
Yes,
disassociation because you're just numb to everything that's happening around you. And when you
exactly.
say disassociation, can you clarify for the listeners, like, what's the difference between disassociation and compartmentalization? Because I think a lot of people, well, I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people conflate them, but I can see that happening.
So, the disassociation is definitely being numb. I would have to say, what's the best? I'm trying to think of like the best way to describe this.
That's okay. I mean, for me, disassociation means like you're so checked out that you don't even know what's happening around you. I mean, obviously, there are different degrees of disassociation. But, like, I've rarely disassociated, but I do feel numb, or I used to feel numb. I don't really feel numb much anymore because 'cause I'm here and feeling my feelings and here for the ups and downs of life, which
Yeah.
is horrible sometimes. But it's also wonderful, so
Yeah.
it's great. I'm feeling all the feelings, yay.
So I guess
Anyway,
the best way I would describe it is disassociation is more involving the detachment from negative events and emotions, creating a state of separation from reality.
okay. Alright, so really
Where,
checking out, right?
yeah, you're checking out. You're like completely, truly on autopilot. And then compartmentalization, on the other hand, is the process of organizing conflicting thoughts, emotions, or experiences into separate mental containers to avoid discomfort.
Ah, okay, I
So
gotcha.
disassociation is about disconnection, where compartmentalization is about managing conflicting information.
Okay. Putting the information in boxes in your mind, so to speak,
Yep.
versus checking out completely and like refusing to participate or feel anything. And I think I've mentioned this in other episodes, but I'm like, when we disassociate, when we numb, which is not necessarily the same as disassociation, but even if you're numbing out to the feelings of life, you can't selectively numb. Dr. Brene Brown has talked about this. You can't selectively
Hmm.
numb your feelings. If you're numbing the pain, you're numbing the joy. If you're numbing the
Exactly.
sadness, you're numbing the love, you're numbing the happiness, like, you numb everything, which is
Right.
it is, yeah. I mean, it's the argument against numbing as much as we can possibly avoid it. I mean, obviously, there's going to have to be
Yeah.
moments because we're human beings. And there's only so much we can tolerate in different
Right.
moments. But
Right.
yeah,
It's actually interesting because if you think about it, one of the best movies out there that goes over your brain, right, is Inside Out.
oh yeah, it's
And
so good,
it's so
so
good.
good. I agree.
And so when you think about if you do numb or disassociate, you're shutting off all emotion. So you
Yep,
can have a memory, and as you learn it inside out, you can have more than one emotion associated with a memory. Now, when it comes to disassociation and experiencing traumatic things at the same time, you can't block it out because your nervous system is absorbing it. You mentally may not be, but your nervous system is.
exactly. So your body is remembering it. Your body knows. Your nervous system knows.
Yeah.
And I think
This
that's
is why your anxiety is so high in those moments.
exactly. Oh, this is actually making me feel a little bit better. Like I
That's
started
good.
dating again, and like my anxiety has been so high based on like some, childhood core wounds that are getting triggered sometimes in dating. And I'm like, oh, wait, this isn't my fault. Like my nervous system remembers what this was like in
Mhm.
childhood and is trying to keep me safe. Like it's just trying to
Yep.
keep me alive. And I'm trying to overwrite it, going, no, we're fine now. But you can't just tell it, no, you're fine now. Like it doesn't
Yep.
work that way. You have to do somatic healing and central nervous system exercises and regulation and work with a therapist and do DBT or CBT or whatever works for you. But like you have to reprogram neural pathways, which, yeah, I'm frustrated because I've been, working on it for a couple of months and it's like, now I need a couple of years. Well, does BPD
Mhm.
or undiagnosed borderline personality disorder mean you can't have a functional relationship in that case? I know we touched on it previously, but we
No,
didn't get very far
absolutely
into it.
not. Absolutely not. You can definitely have functional relationships. I mean, heck, I have a friend that I've been friends with since I was 7. She's like my family and sister in my life. You can definitely have relationships. It's really about how genuine the other person is, how caring the other person is, and the patience of the other person in your life.
Gotcha.
It,
Yeah.
it, it also takes effort and patience on your end too.
Can you say that again?
It takes patience and effort on the other person's end too. So
It does. Yeah.
it's a two-way street.
So you have to have someone that is willing to be patient or love you enough to learn like how to navigate BPD basically. We all have good days and bad days. And as it pertains specifically to BPD, can you say what you wish more people knew about BPD in order to help love and support someone with the diagnosis or without the diagnosis, whatever, to help with those bad days?
I think the biggest thing, my biggest advice, is really you got to be patient with yourself and
Got-
you got to take things a lot slower. And what I mean by slower, I mean be patient with yourself, be patient with yourself mentally, because if you compartmentalize, you actually have a better chance helping yourself in hard situations or struggles that you might be feeling emotionally. But like if you're undiagnosed and you think you may have BPD, definitely obviously go see a psychiatrist, get diagnosed with that because there are similar behaviors with BP and BPD, and you can have both actually at the same time too.
What do you mean you can
Um,
have both what?
you can have both BPD and BP,
Oh, I see. You can have bipolar
both.
disorder at the same time as borderline personality disorder.
Yeah,
Is that rare?
no, it's not.
Really? That's
No,
fascinating. That's not something I didn't know.
yeah, it's not very, it's not rare, but yeah, being patient. It don't be afraid to reach out for help.
Thank you all for being here. I can't wait for Anna to come back for part 3. Look forward to it in the next coming months. And thank you all for following on social media. Missy the Traveler on Instagram, Missy.traveler on TikTok. You know the drill. You've heard it all before. Anyway, thanks y'all for being here, and I can't wait for another episode on BPD with Anna part 3. Look for it soon. See y'all next time. As always, work your shit out, not on other people. Thank you for listening.